Are Tom Brady and his wife Gisele looking down the barrel of an impending divorce? Sadly, things may well be going that way, as the two of them are not on the best of terms right now, to put it mildly. Why is there a wedge between the two of them? And what of Tom's career? Well, we'll be letting you in on all the details as this video progresses, so be sure to stick around till the end. Let's get started. When did this split take place and why? A few weeks ago, this story broke by virtue of Page 6. Things seemed to blow up in a massive argument at the beginning of September where she left their Tampa home and flew to Costa Rica, as most of us would do in such a situation, I'm sure. The argument stemmed from the NFL superstar's decision to unretire from the sport in March, just 40 days after he had announced he was calling time on his illustrious career on February 1st, 2022. Indeed, he's continued playing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, currently in the early going of the 2022 season, but it seems that now that the season is ongoing, his wife Gisele is unwilling to compromise on it anymore. It's very clear that she wanted him to retire and stay that way, seemingly because of how much time he has to devote to being the top quarterback in the league and how it costs him so much precious time with his family. While we don't want to speculate too much and put words into people's mouths, it would have seemed that this announcement of his retirement was likely at the behest of his wife's urging, and that his reining on it after the fact ended up souring things in their relationship. According to an anonymous source who spoke to Page 6, Gisele is always the one spending time with the kids, which probably doesn't come as too much of a shock. The news came suspiciously close to a time where Tom Brady disappeared from practice in August, missing 11 days of training with little explanation. When asked about this after the fact, he said, quote, "It's all personal. Everyone's got different situations they're dealing with, and we all have really unique challenges in our life. I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of going on." End quote. Now it's perhaps more clear as to what personal issues he was referring to. Lately, Gisele did return to Florida, but the situation is largely unchanged. So even now, they haven't reconciled, in spite of the move? Indeed. Though she made the trip back to the state, the very same Page 6 reported that she did not return to the family home in Tampa. It's believed that she's insisted currently staying in Miami and came back purely to see the kids, suggesting that she and Tom may not have come into contact for a while. And it was noted that this kind of thing has happened before, with Gisele telling Tom that she's leaving him, but in the past, the couple were always able to settle their differences and smooth things over. Naturally, Tom is hoping the same thing can happen again this time, but this blow-up has been a lot more public than what we've seen in the past and seems to stem from a pretty deep place, so it's hard to say. The source has, for what it's worth, rejected reports that the two are currently in the midst of a divorce. As of now, at least, nothing so official has been filed, but they do note that the way things are headed, this might well be on the table, and it brings to mind a question that, if not for this situation, might have a very different answer. Is Tom Brady's NFL career going to be continuing past 2022? He's playing through the 2022 NFL season, that much is a given. He's already started 3 games in the year so far, but the question for years has been just how long can he keep things up? He's obviously stayed in remarkable condition, whatever he's done medically to keep himself in tip-top shape for so long. It's clearly worked to a crazy degree. This guy debuted all the way back in 2000, meaning he's in his 23rd season right now, an absolutely insane metric, and a historic one as well, as when he took the field a few weeks back at the time of this writing, he officially became the oldest quarterback to start a game in NFL history. While 45 isn't particularly old for a regular person, it's absolutely ancient for an athlete, and that's especially true in the intense, physically demanding world of professional football. It's a young man's game, if ever there was one. Yet not only has Tom Brady managed to keep on playing, he's managed to continue to an extremely high level. In his first 2 years at Tampa Bay, they posted records of 11-5 and 13-4, the best 2 back-to-back seasons in the history of the franchise. What's more, he led the team to a Super Bowl win in 2020, and in the process became the oldest player to ever be named Super Bowl MVP. But while his longevity and ability to stay on top are incredibly impressive feats, and only serve to further solidify a legacy that was already cemented a long time ago, this also may be a major Achilles heel for him. He's playing so very well that it seems to be much more difficult to imagine him packing it up. If he were regressing on the field, he'd probably feel a lot more inclined to hang up the shoulder pads, but it's tough to try and step away when you know that you still have plenty left in the tank. Of course, despite what it may seem like at times, he is very much still human, and the human body does have its limits. One day he will hit that limit and his body will give out on him. Long term, it's undoubtedly better for his health if he retires now rather than let fate decide for him when that day inevitably comes. And even if his body can still survive another season after 2022, the question now has to be asked, can he say the same thing for his marriage? If the reports are true, and the tension between him and his wife stems from his decision to continue playing in the NFL, then that's likely a tension that won't fully go away until his career ends. Even if he can smooth things over this time, what about if he tries to come back in 23 or even 24? She may well have had enough by that point, and you can only do this song and dance so many times. Tom Brady is certainly not wanting for money, nor does he have a single thing left to prove in the NFL. He'd have already been a first ballot Hall of Famer if he retired a decade ago. And now that he's done it all again with a new team, and while past the age of 40, there's really no height left to soar. At this stage, the only thing keeping him in the NFL is sheer love of the game and an unwillingness to let go of his peak stardom. And while these factors may each loom large for him, is it worth the damage that it seems to be doing to his family? We can't make that decision for him, but here's hoping that things turn out for the best. Any other NFL-related stories out there right now? While the Chicago Bears' young QB, Justin Fields, is making history right now, though it's probably not the kind we would have grown up dreaming about. His combined passing yardage over the first 3 weeks comes out at 297. According to Pro Football Reference, that's the lowest total for any starting quarterback since the merger. You know, the NFL-AFL merger, the one that happened way back in the 70s? Yeah, it's the lowest total for any QB who started and finished 3 consecutive games at any point since 1975. Keep in mind, too, that in the 70s, the game of football was nowhere near as pass-heavy as it is now. So, yikes. Even so, maybe don't hit the panic button just yet. Fields is still very young at 23, and this is only the beginning of his second season in the NFL. Even though there's often tons of pressure put on newbie QBs to produce results immediately, the truth is that it often takes a few years for them to really hit their stride. The Tom Bradys of the sport notwithstanding, it's a very tough position to pick up in a short span of time. Furthermore, Chicago did manage to win 2 of those 3 games, so it's not as though the team is a complete disaster as a result of this. Still, it's not the kind of record you want to be setting, and hopefully the situation will improve for the kid in the future. And that's all the time we have for today's video. Are you surprised that Tom and Gisele's relationship is seemingly on the rocks? And do you think they'll be able to reconcile things, or are they on a fast track to divorce? Should Tom Brady go ahead and hang it up, or just keep playing till the wheels fall off, as this seems to be his intention? Be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and until next time, thanks for watching.